Good morning. Today we are discussing the wave optics. Wave optics explained by Huygens. According to Huygens, he constructed first the concept of the wavefront, then constructed secondary wavefront from the primary wavefront. So first let us understand according to Huygens theory. Huygens theory. So Huygens theory is based on wave concept. Light travels in the form of waves. Light travels in the form of waves. According to Huygens, let us first understand wavefront. Wavefront is defined as the locus of all points which are oscillating in the same phase and at equal distance from the source in all directions. This is called wavefront. Okay. What is the meaning of locus? Locus means collection of all points. Let us understand more clearly here. For example, go to a pond, throw a stone into still water. So then we will observe some circles like this. So what are these circles? So this is if you consider this is a crest, and here there is a trough, and here there is a crest. So in the water we can observe clearly some water particles are moving up, and some next moving down, next moving up, moving down like this. So that here moving down, and here moving up, here moving down, moving up. So these are the equidistant points. Equal distance points, okay, in all directions. So we are taking such points, nothing but we are collecting all the points which we call it as locus of all points, and these are the points on the crest, and all are equidistant from the source in all directions. So then when we join all these points, then we will get a wavefront. In the two-dimensional it is a circle, in the three-dimensional it is a spherical wavefront. After, if you take the next one is also a crest. Okay, so now if you consider all the crest points, and if you join all the crest points, then we will get the next wavefront. In the middle, between these two, in the middle, okay, there will be trough. So you can take trough points also. So when you take the trough points, and if you join all those points, then we will get another wavefront. But remember clearly, this is the locus of crest points, and this is also locus of crest points, and in the middle exactly there will be locus of the trough points. So we can draw something like this. So crest, and in between there is a trough. Crest and crest, in between there is a trough. So this is the explanation according to the Huygens of the wavefront. Next, how to construct next wavefront. How to construct next wavefront from the existing wavefront. Okay, so construction of secondary wavefront from primary wavefront. Let us consider S as the source. S as the source. Consider primary wavefront. This is a wavefront. Then, according to Huygens, each particle on wavefront will act like source of the secondary wavelets. So, source of secondary wavelets. Here, if you take tangents, join all the tangents. In between, if you take another one, so join the tangents like this. If you join all the tangents, then you will get the next spherical wavefront. So these particles which are present on the wavefront are acting like the sources, which we call it as the secondary wavelets. So these secondary wavelets are traveling in forward direction, and this distance they traveled in time t is distance is equals to speed, wave speed into time. So this is the secondary wavefront. And this is the primary wavefront. This is a way to construct the secondary wavefront from the primary wavefront. This is which type of wavefront? It is a spherical wavefront. So now spherical wavefront if you take, okay, and next thing is, so as if it is a spherical wavefront, S is the source, spherical wavefront primary, and this is the secondary wavefront. How to draw a ray? How to draw a ray to wavefront? So it is a spherical wavefront. Ray must be drawn always perpendicular to the wavefront. So here, as it is spherical, now it will be traveling in this direction, traveling in this direction, traveling in this direction. So here, if you draw tangent to the wavefront, this ray is making 90 degrees with the wavefront. Here also making 90 degrees, here also making 90 degrees. So all the times, if you take any wavefront, the ray is always propagating perpendicular to the wavefront. So ray indicates the energy propagation direction. Next thing is, if we consider cylindrical wavefront, then ray will be drawn like this: tangent, perpendicular, tangent, perpendicular, perpendicular, perpendicular. At any point to the wavefront, ray will be always perpendicular. Next, if it is plane wavefront, this is the ray making 90 degrees with the wavefront. This is spherical wavefront, cylindrical, and this is plane wavefront. Now the question is, when do we get plane wavefront? So spherical after traveling long distance, spherical or cylindrical wavefront will act like primary wavefront, will act like plane wavefront. Okay, let us see now. So here is the source. This is wavefront, spherical wavefront. After traveling long distance, like this, after traveling long distance, if you consider here some portion, this portion, here it is having some curvature, in spherical in nature. But if you consider the same portion here, it is a straight line in 2-dimensional, and in 3-dimensional it is a plane. Okay, so this is a plane wavefront. Plane wavefront. Huygens theory, wave theory can explain interference, diffraction, and polarization. It can also explain law of reflection and also law of reflection and law of refraction. So now let us first discuss in this law of reflection, then law of refraction. Okay, after that interference, diffraction, polarization. So first of all, law of reflection. What is law of reflection? Incident ray, reflected ray, and normal to the boundary all lie in same plane. This is the definition of the law of reflection. Here we have three things. One is incident ray, reflected ray, normal to the boundary. These three will lie in the single plane. And what is law of reflection is angle I is equals to angle R. Incident angle is always equal to reflected angle, provided that the surface on which light is falling must be smooth and it should be polished surface. So let us prove this. Proof. Consider a denser medium and it is rarer medium. Plane wave front. A plane wave front is passing from the rarer to denser medium, and this is opaque medium, non-transparent opaque medium. So we are drawing a ray to this. The plane wave front is moving towards the boundary surface. This is the boundary. Now this is point O and this is point A. As the plane wave front is moving down, here wave front is moving down like this, then at this point there is a reflection because it could not enter into the next medium. As it is opaque medium, it could not enter into this. So that's why at this point reflection occurs. At this point it is moving forward as it is. So within this, as it is moving down to the another point B until it touches the boundary, here this is traveling a distance d is equal to speed into time. Within the same time, it will travel how much distance after reflection, because it is in the same medium, speed will be same. So that's why it will again travel the same distance. Okay. So first let us draw the normal to the boundary. This is normal. Normal means it must be perpendicular to boundary surface. First let us define angle of incidence. What is angle of incidence? How to measure it? Angle of incidence must be taken between incident ray and normal. This is angle of incidence. After reflection, this will be reflecting back like this. So this is angle of reflection R. Now from point B, okay, this is slowly coming down and it is reflecting back like this. Now it will become like this. This is perpendicular to the reflected ray. This is incident ray and this is reflected ray. Now how to measure angle of refraction? Angle of reflection. Okay. So it is again angle between normal and reflected ray, that is angle of reflection. So now in this, let us take, what is this angle? This angle is equal to I, because these two are perpendicular lines. These two are perpendicular lines. As this angle is I, this is also same angle I. And what is this angle? These two are perpendicular lines and these two are perpendicular lines. So this angle is R. So this is also R. Now from this we can see two right angle triangles. One is OAB and other is triangle O. Let us take this point as C. OCB. These two triangles are congruent. As they are congruent, okay, so they are having common side, they are having common angle, okay. So we can write simply sin I from this. What is sin I? Opposite by hypotenuse, that is AB by OB. What is AB is equals to? Okay, not equal. So next is sin R. Sin R is opposite by hypotenuse. OC by OB. Look at this. OB equal denominator is same. What about numerator? AB and OC. As it is reflecting back to same medium, already we discussed that distance traveled is equal. So that's why AB must be equal to OC, and these are congruent triangles. So sin I should be equal to sin R. So we can write angle I is equal to angle R. So this is a proof of law of reflection. Okay. Now next, law of refraction, or it is also called as Snell's law. What is the definition of it? In this, incident ray is common, incident ray. Next one is refracted ray, and normal to the boundary, normal to the boundary, all lie in the same plane. So this is the definition of the law of refraction. Here it is also named as Snell's law. What is the Snell's law is N1 sin I is equal to N2 sin R. Let us prove this. Proof. Here the case is, first case, refraction at denser medium. Refraction is occurring at a denser medium. Okay. So first let us draw the diagram. This is denser medium and this is rarer medium. Plane wave front. We are drawing the ray. O A. Okay. So plane wave front is moving towards the boundary. Okay. So as it is moving towards the boundary, at point O it is entering into the medium. At point A it is still in the rarer medium. So we know that the speed in denser medium is low, and when ray is passing from the rarer to denser medium, it will bend towards the normal. So let us draw this. This is the normal, and this is I, angle of incidence. Instead of going straight, it will bend slightly towards the normal. This is angle of refraction. How to measure angle of refraction? Angle between refracted ray and normal to boundary. When in the rarer medium, light ray passing from A to B, it is traveling a distance of V1 into T. Within this same time, it is also traveling some distance, but this distance is smaller than the rarer medium traveled distance, because in the denser medium speed is low. As V is low, D will be less. So let us draw this first. Let us draw the perpendicular. Then this is normal and this is normal. This is D2 is equals to V2 into T. Clearly, here we can write clearly, we as V2 less than V1, D2 less than D1. We know that N2 is greater than N1, because denser medium refractive index is more than the rarer medium refractive index. So let us prove this. Okay, from this is angle of incidence. So this is angle of incidence. Again the same two perpendicular lines. Okay, and here these two are perpendicular, these two are perpendicular. So this is R. R is the angle of refraction here. R is angle of refraction. Now let us take sin I. Sin I is opposite AB by hypotenuse OB. But what is AB? V1T by OB. Next, sin R. Opposite. Okay, let us take this is C. OC by OB. What is OC? V2T by OB. Divide the two. Sin I by sin R. Is OB gets cancelled, TT gets cancelled. It is V1 by V2. Okay. This is 1. But we know that V is equals to lambda into F. Here, frequency, what about the frequency when wave is entering from one medium to other medium? That is the question. As the wave is entering from one medium to other medium, 3 waves are crossing the boundary. That means 3 waves are entering the boundary. The same 3 waves will be leaving the boundary. So that's why frequency is remaining always constant across the boundary. So we can write V proportional to lambda as F is constant. So V1 by V2 is equals to lambda 1 by lambda 2. Next is N is equals to what? C by V. We know this formula already. So as N, we can write N2 by N1 is equals to V1 by V2. So finally we can write sin I by sin R is equals to V1 by V2. This is 2 and this is 3. V1 by V2 is equals to lambda 1 by lambda 2, and that is equals to N2 by N1. V1 by V2, lambda 1 by lambda 2, N2 by N1. So cross multiply these two. N1 sin I is equals to N2 sin R. This is the proof of Snell's law. This is Snell's law. Case 2. Refraction at a rarer medium. So first we are drawing denser medium, and this is rarer medium. We are taking plane wave front. O, A, B. This is angle of incidence. Instead of going straight, as it is a denser to rarer medium, it will bend away from the normal. Okay, so away from the normal like this. Now let us draw the normal to this. This is incident angle, and this is angle of refraction R. This is C. In this case, this distance is V1 into T. This distance is V2 into T. Clearly V2 is greater than V1, so D2 is greater than D1, and N2 is less than N1. Let us take again same geometry. Sin I is equals to AB by OB, that is V1T by OB. Sin R is equals to OC by OB, V2T by OB. Sin I by sin R is equals to V1 by V2. So we are coming back to again the same thing, just like previous case, lambda 1 by lambda 2, V proportional to lambda, and N is inversely proportional to V and wavelength. Okay, so it is N2 by N1. So cross multiply these two, so we will get N1 sin I is equals to N2 sin R. This is the again same sense law we are getting. That means sense law does not get changed even though it is moving from the light ray passing from the rarer to denser or denser to rarer. So Snell's law, this is Snell's law. So here we can see observations. Observations. Sin theta is proportional to V, proportional to lambda, proportional to 1 by n. That means if refractive index is more, in that medium theta will be small. Okay. If rarer medium speed is high, theta will be high. If wavelength is high, theta will be high. Okay. Next. Behavior of plane wavefront. Behavior of plane wavefront. First one, A. First one, prism. It is thin prism. If you take thin prism, plane wavefront. So the plane wavefront is passing through the prism. At the top, okay, it is almost a rarer medium. At the bottom, it is some medium. Okay. So at the bottom, when it comes to this, like this, at the bottom it is entering into different medium, but at the top it is moving in the same medium. So its refractive index is high compared to air. So here speed will be low compared to the top. What will happen as the speed is low, at the bottom it will travel slowly, at the top it will travel fastly. So that's why it will bend like this, bend forward. Plane wavefront remaining as plane wavefront, but there is a bending occurs. So if it is like this, then what will happen? So it will bend like this. At the bottom, more speed, at the top, low speed. Next, if it is a biconvex lens, it is a plane wavefront. So when come to this, when it is interacting with the lens, in the middle there is a medium, at the top and bottom there is the medium is air. So that's why at the middle speed is low compared to top and the bottom. So what will happen, and at the top and bottom it is moving longer distance compared to middle, so it will bend like this. So it is becoming spherical wavefront with the focal point f1 or focal length f1. Next, third one. If it is concave mirror, if it is concave mirror, it is polished surface, inside no polish, so plain wavefront. So it is going and interacting here. If you look at this, at the top and bottom it is interacting first, at the middle it is interacting last. So that's why it will be something like this. So it is again spherical wavefront with the focal point f2. Thank you.